They vanish for days, then send a memory-soft ping. A song you shared, a photo, a promise. It feels like a rope across a river, but the knot tightens when you grab it. Hoovering is the pullback tactic after a breakup or boundary, where a toxic ex cycles through charm, apology, panic, guilt, and pressure to re-establish access to your time, attention, and body. The name leans on the vacuum image for a reason. It is about suction, not repair. It often appears after you say no, after you detach, or when they sense you are healing. It can sound like emergency confessions, sudden self-awareness, sentimental nostalgia, dramatic crises, or accusations that you are cold. The behavior is inconsistent by design. One day it is flowers and I finally get it. Another day it is, you owe me a conversation. If you do not respond, the tactic morphs. The message is less about love and more about control of the channel between you. No single diagnosis is required to explain it. Anyone who relies on manipulation instead of accountability can use it. What matters is the pattern. Your boundary goes up, their tactics intensify, and the cycle restarts without meaningful change. Inside that pattern live nervous system habits and attachment templates shaped long before this breakup. If you have an anxious pull, your body equates silence with danger and reconciliation with safety. So a late-night paragraph can feel like oxygen. If you lean avoidant, hoovering pokes shame about being uncaring, pushing you to re-engage to prove you are kind. The brain tags relationships with prediction codes. This cue leads to that reward. Intermittent reinforcement, sometimes closeness, sometimes withdrawal, burns the deepest groove. The surge you feel when the message arrives is not destiny. It is dopamine's response to a variable slot machine. Cortisol laces it with urgency. Oxytocin, stirred by memory, declares the person safe because the past also contained tenderness. Your prefrontal cortex can reason, but the limbic system votes fast. None of this means you are weak. It means your body learned a loop and is now replaying it. In daily life, it begins with a gentle probe. They ask how your mother is after surgery, a detail they ignored while you were together. When you reply politely, they escalate to a vulnerable confession that mirrors words you once begged to hear. The moment you name a boundary, no calls at night, no surprise visits, the apology arrives with a twist. You hear that you are punishing them for trying. If you hold your line, a crisis appears. Their cat is missing. Their car broke down near your street. They booked therapy and want you there for the first session. Each event is time-sensitive. Each one presses your compassion and your fear of being unfair. When you relent, maybe you meet for coffee. The first minutes are soft, and your body unclenches. Then, familiar frictions surface. They minimize what happened. You debate the past instead of discussing a workable future. You leave feeling confused, as if you borrowed hope at a predatory interest rate. The day after, they are inconsistent again, and your nervous system starts to tally. What did your response buy you, besides a new cycle? Signals that scrape you red often arrive wrapped in sweetness. A bouquet appears with a card that says they cannot live without you, yet the next message questions whether you ever loved them because you did not answer within an hour. They share a playlist of your songs, then remind you of everything they paid for, as if affection were an invoice. The warmth is conditional. The empathy centers their discomfort. By contrast, the green shoots of healthier repair are quieter. A healthy ex respects your boundary on contact frequency and channel. They take full ownership of specific behaviors without pivoting to your alleged flaws. They show work over time, appointments kept, temper regulated, substances reduced, apologies paired with changed behavior. They accept that reconciliation is a privilege, not an entitlement. Your body notices too. With manipulation, your chest tightens, your thoughts race, and you rehearse defenses. With genuine repair, your breath lengthens and your voice does not shrink to be heard. Picture this. You ended things 3 weeks ago after months of promises that never held. The first week was quiet. You slept, you cooked, you texted friends back. On a rainy Thursday, they wrote that a song on the radio made them cry, that you were their anchor, that they finally see what they broke. The message was long, full of the exact phrases you once asked for. You replied kindly that you were not ready to talk. The next day, a second message arrived saying they respected you. That evening, a third said they missed your laugh. You did not answer. On Saturday, a fourth message arrived. Their father had a health scare and they needed you. You checked the contact settings and muted them to buy stillness. 2 days later, flowers arrived with a note about soulmates. You considered returning the bouquet, then decided neutral was safer. The following week, a mutual friend reached out to say, your ex was trying hard and you should hear them out. You realized your ex had recruited witnesses. You drafted a reply that you would not discuss your relationship through intermediaries. You sent it and put your phone in a drawer. Your heart thudded as if you had run stairs. That night, you slept. When you build a small playbook, it must serve your nervous system as much as your calendar. Start by choosing a single channel for necessary communication and closing the rest. If logistics require contact, email can be calmer than instant messaging, because an inbox encourages complete thoughts rather than impulsive volleys. Prepare neutral scripts in advance so you are not composing under adrenaline. A sentence like, I do not have the bandwidth to discuss the relationship, and I am not available for contact beyond logistics, protects your energy without litigating history. Practice sending it to yourself until your tongue knows its shape. Pair scripts with environmental design. Remove their name from your home screen. Ask a friend to be your first reader for any message you are tempted to send after midnight. Anchor yourself in the present before you decide. There is a physical move here. Feet on the floor, a slow breath that lengthens the exhale, a hand on your sternum. It is harder to be pulled when you are not floating. The second move is boundary with consequence, not aggression. A boundary is not the words you say. It is what you repeat when the response tests you. If you state that you will not meet unplanned, then you do not meet unplanned. If they arrive at your doorstep, you do not step outside. If they flood your inbox, you do not rebut every claim. You reply once, or not at all, depending on safety, and you log the event. Documenting is not pettiness, it is clarity for your future self. The third move is resourcing. Replace the relationship's nervous system intensity with inputs that can carry that weight without drama. Exercise that genuinely elevates your heart rate. A creative practice that eats focus. Routine time with people who laugh easily, and sleep that respects your circadian rhythm. When the internal siren blares that you will never find this connection again, answer with experiences that contradict the scarcity. If it gets heavy enough that you feel cornered, it is not a failure to involve others. If there is stalking, threats, or property damage, you consider legal routes and talk to local services that can outline options with you. If the manipulation is persistent rather than dangerous, outside structure still helps. A therapist can map the cycle with you and rehearse your scripts until they sound as steady as they are. If joint logistics like a lease or a pet tangle you, consult a mediator or lawyer, so decisions do not rely on impulse. Tell at least one friend the truth without minimizing. Ask that friend to hold a simple role. When you waver, they remind you of your baseline. If the relationship contained trauma, your body might oscillate between longing and dread. That is normal. You can ride the wave without assigning meaning to each surge. Healing is not a straight line, and you do not have to justify your boundary to the person who broke it. The mind will argue that responding is kinder, that being the bigger person means absorbing more contact. Kindness includes the version of you who finally sleeps through the night. Forgiveness, if you choose it, does not require renewed access. You can acknowledge their humanity without offering your evening. You can wish them well without becoming their regulator. If they are truly changing, they will accept the distance, do their work elsewhere, and respect your number. Real change is patient and quiet. It does not huddle at your door with a stopwatch. Meanwhile, you will notice subtle wins. A message arrives and your pulse spikes less than before. A song plays and you feel both tenderness and relief. You catch yourself daydreaming about ordinary peace rather than dramatic reunion. Your life starts to grow around the space where the cycle once sat. There is room for friends who plan ahead, for work that leaves you proud at day's end, for a hobby you did not have to negotiate. If you do interact, watch for the difference between remorse and performance. Remorse names the precise harm, does not center the wrongdoer's pain, and shows its homework over time without demanding a reward. Performance mirrors your phrases back to you and turns accountability into an audition for immediate closeness. Remorse can coexist with the boundary that you will not return to the relationship. Performance treats your boundary as an obstacle to a prize. If you decide to attempt reconciliation, give it the conditions that any meaningful repair deserves: pace, transparency, outside support, and a tested window of stability measured in months, not weekends. If those conditions cannot exist, Your clarity is an act of care for both of you, even if it feels like ice at first. Your body will sometimes miss the storm because calm can feel like emptiness after long adrenaline. That does not mean the storm was love. It means you are detoxing from intensity. To help your system recalibrate, seek consistent micro-comforts that do not depend on another person's mood. Morning light on your face, a walk that ends at the same bench, cooking something with a scent that says home, text chains where the jokes are dumb and nobody weaponizes silence. These are not small. They are the scaffolding for a nervous system that no longer confuses turbulence with depth. When you are steady, you can remember the sweet moments without needing to turn them into a future. You can honor that both truths existed. They made you feel alive and they made you feel small. You can choose not to repeat the second truth. If the message lands tonight, imagine your response living in your life a month from now. Ask which reply your future self thanks you for. If the answer is silence, you can let the wave pass. If the answer is a script, you can send the prepared words and then step away from your device. If you need a ritual, create one. Write the impulse on paper and tear it. Put your phone in another room and set a timer. Drink water slowly, as if you were teaching your body the tempo of a different kind of love. You are not denying love by refusing a cycle. You are choosing a form of love that does not cost you yourself. If this supported you, follow for more gentle, practical psychology. Share it with someone who needs language for what they are living, and subscribe so you catch the next episode when it lands. Your attention is precious, and it helps me make calm things on a noisy internet.